All right, well, that's a dramatic start. Welcome. Good to see everyone. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. Hope you enjoyed the muffins. If you didn't, I think there's some leftovers. You can grab one on the way out if you missed them. There's still a muffin for each and every mom. And even those that aren't moms, there's many that care for kids and teens and love on other people that aren't their children. So we're very thankful for you as well. Before we jump into this week, the second week of our Blessed are the Peacemakers series, Vanessa sent me a text last night and just wanted me to invite everyone, if you desire to join here at the church this Friday, the 15th at 6:30 to 8 o'clock. She just wants to open the church up and have a time of prayer. So if you need a time of prayer, she wants to pray for the nation, pray for the church, and whatever you have on your hearts and minds. So 6:30 to 8 o'clock, Vanessa will be here. Nothing formal, nothing organized, just come and pray. And she just wanted to have the church open for that time. So nothing fancy, just a bunch of believers gathering together to pray. So if that sounds like you, come and join us. Today we're going to continue in the Blessed are the Peacemakers series that we're in. It's Mother's Day, so we're going to look at a story that highlights a woman in the Bible. And we'll look at an Old Testament story found in 1 Samuel, and specifically chapter 25. It's the whole chapter, so we're going to take it in bits and pieces. But it's about a woman named Abigail, and she jumps into one of the most volatile and dangerous conflicts in the Old Testament. It's an explosive situation, but we learn that peacemakers don't avoid trouble. They don't avoid conflict. They jump in and they use their wisdom and their courage to make peace when it seems like there is none. And so in today's story, Abigail is going to be a woman of wisdom and of peace and of courage. In fact, and you can take this or you can leave it. In the Bible, there are many characters, and what the Bible does that I appreciate is it highlights their flaws as well as their strengths. So there's very few people that we only see good, right? Because we're people. There's some that are only bad, and if we look at 1 Samuel, Goliath is in there. Goliath, he's bad. He's a giant, and David slays him. He's a bad from beginning to end, and we don't see anything good with Goliath. But then we have some characters that are good, mostly good, like David. But even David, a guy after God's own heart, has some serious flaws, some serious dark side. He does some stuff seriously bad, and that's highlighted. Very few characters in the Bible from the beginning to the end, everything that we know about them is just all good. And Abigail happens to be one of those people. So for what it's worth, it's a shout out to mothers on women on Mother's Day. Abigail's I'm going to do a spoiler alert here, is a hero of the story. She's the one that comes with wisdom. She's the one that comes with courage and discernment. Her name's Abigail. It means my father's joy. I can relate. So here's a setting. Here's a setting of a story found in 1 Samuel 25, verses 2 through 8. A certain man in Maon had property there in Carmel and was very wealthy. He had 1,000 goats and 3,000 sheep, which he was shearing in Carmel. His name was Nabal, and his wife's name was Abigail. She was an intelligent and beautiful woman, but her husband was surly and mean in his dealings, and he was a Calebite. While David was in the wilderness, he heard that Nabal was shearing sheep, so he sent 10 young men and said to them, "Go up to Nabal at Carmel and greet him in my name. Say to him, 'Long life to you, good health to you and to your household, and good health to all that is yours.' Now I hear that it is sheep shearing time. When your shepherds were in our area with us, we did not mistreat them. The whole time that they were in Carmel, nothing of theirs was missing. Ask your own servants, and they'll tell you. Therefore be favorable towards my men, since we come at a festive time. Please give your servants and your son David whatever you can find for them." All right, so this is the setting. There's three characters here. There's a wealthy man who he learns not very smart, kind of mean, but he has a lot of stuff, and so his name's Nabal. And then his wife, who they describe as intelligent and beautiful. That's a pretty good description that you get. I don't know, men, if you have a wife or a girlfriend or kids, your mom, if you go to your mom or your wife or your girlfriend and say, "You know what, you're really intelligent and beautiful," chances are you're going to make her day. Like, that's a good introduction. That's a good description of a woman. She's intelligent and she's beautiful. And so David's the third guy, and David's a man that's anointed by God to be king. He's not king yet. He's not recognized as king. He's actually on the run. He's running from King Saul, but he's still powerful. He has 600 soldiers in his army, and he thinks that his mere presence in the area has helped Nabal in some way. He's helped him just because, like, he's there. He's like, I'm powerful. I'm great. No one's going to mess with me if I'm around. So just your shepherds being near us, we could have wiped them out, but we didn't. We could have done all these nasty things to them. We could have stole your sheep. We could have taken what we wanted. No one could stop us, but we didn't. And not only that, just us being around, like just because we're here, you guys were better off. So you're welcome. And so then he says, so now that I see it's like your festive time, you're coming in, you're being blessed. I'm in some need because of my protection. Like, no one's going to mess with you when we're around. No troublemakers are going to come around. So because of my protection, I think that you owe us some stuff. And now this might not relate to us because our culture doesn't work that way, but we have subcultures that do. I did social work for a lot of years. And if you're in a prison or you're even in a group home, this stuff happens. Like, some of the bigger kids would protect the little ones, but then when it came time for dinner, it's like, hey, I protect you, hand me your roll, This stuff happens. And this is kind of the mentality of the culture that they're in. David was great. He had a great army. Nabal was kind of small, but he had some shepherds. He was wealthy. But just David's presence protected him. And not only that, David was a good man. He didn't steal from him. He didn't cause them trouble. He didn't harass them. Like, they were better off that he was around. So he thought this rich man could help him now and kind of owed it to him. So what could go wrong when you have a powerful person thinking that a rich and greedy and stubborn man owes him something? Like, how could there be conflict in that situation? Well, if we keep reading, we'll see. When David's men arrived, they gave Nabal this message in David's name. And then they waited. And Nabal answered David's servants, "Who's this guy David? Who is the son of Jesse? Many servants are breaking away from their masters these days. How do we know he's not just a runaway slave? Why should I take my bread, my water, my meat that I slaughtered for my people and give it to some man? I don't even know who he is. I don't know where he comes from. I don't know his background." So David's men turned around and went back. And when they arrived, they reported every word to David. And David said to his men, "Each of you strap on your own sword." So they did, and David strapped on his as well. About 400 men went up with David, while 200 stayed back with supplies. So here's a conflict that happens. A rich, greedy man doesn't think he owes someone something, and so he's going to dig his heels in and say, "No, this ain't happening. Who are you?" And he does it in probably the rudest way possible. Nabal's being selfish and greedy, like he always is, like he's known to be. And that, by the way, his name means foolish or folly. We'll see that come into play. And David's response is, "Know what, guys? Get your swords. We're going to go take care of this problem." David's expecting that Nabal's going to give him what he wants, and not only give him what he wants, but kind of do it in a thankful heart, like gratitude. Like, here's all our stuff. Thanks for taking it. That's what David sincerely believes. And the culture today said that's what you should do. Like, you benefited from us being around. Now's your time to shine. Pay us back. And David's serious. If we jump down a little bit, David was talking, and he says, David had just said, "This whole thing's been useless. All my watching over this fellow's property in the wilderness so that nothing of his was missing. Like, I took care of him. I made sure he had everything he need. And he has paid me back with evil for good. May God deal with me, David, be it ever so severely, but at morning I leave one male of all belonging to him alive." He basically says, we're going to go and we're going to slaughter these guys, and not a single person will be left alive. And he's serious. He took the time and the energy to get 400 people prepared for battle, and he's marched out. And he had to arrange 200 people to carry supplies. Like, he's enraged. And it's not a fair fight. It's going to be a slaughter. And he's dead serious. Now, you might think the guy was rude to him. So what? He's overreacting. But it was about as serious as the offensive you can make in that day. To someone of power, to someone in position, to kind of slight him and basically call him a runaway slave and slight him. That it would have been a horribly disgraceful thing to do to David's face. And so David's like, we're going to go show him who I am. And he meant business. He was going to go slaughter the whole kingdom. And it was an overaction. I was trying to think of what today's equivalent would be of that big of an insult, and all I could come up with was, like, if he would have went up to David and said, "You're a Miami Dolphins fan," I know it's bad, isn't it? That would have been a huge insult. They would be like, "Get your swords, guys." Could you believe what he said? How you doing over there, Matthew? It would have been horrible. It would have been terrible. So David's serious. And this is seemingly, at this point, an unavoidable conflict between a really angry and powerful man in David and a really stubborn and foolish man who's willing to risk everything, all of his people, because of his pride and greed. You've been in those conflicts? Two people equally stubborn, and it looks like it's going to be bad, and no one's going to budge. There's got to be force. So while it might even seem like an overreaction with David, that was how serious this was. And then in steps Abigail into the situation, dealing with a husband who's kind of an idiot, and then David, who's powerful and bloodthirsty, and with bloodshed in his mind, and she steps in. And so her servants go to her and tell her, and it says, Abigail acted quickly. She took 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 dressed sheep, 5 seahs of roasted grain, 100 cakes of raisins, 200 cakes of pressed figs, and loaded them on donkeys. Then she told her servants, "Go ahead, I'll follow you," but she did not tell her husband at all. She hears what's happening, and she has to make a decision. Like, do I just stay out of it? Like, sometimes when conflict doesn't directly involve us, but we see it and it's going to be bad, we have some decisions to make. She could have said, that's David's issue. Like, my husband's kind of an idiot. He gets what's coming. Maybe that would benefit her. I don't know. But she was in a position where she could have just sat back and said, let's just see what happens. This isn't my place. I'm just a woman and living in this time between 2 powerful men. What can I do? But we're told that peacemakers don't just wait for perfect conditions. They don't wait for invitations. They move when it matters most, and they often move into conflict. When peace needs to be made is when there's conflict at hand. And so here's a conflict, bless you. There's a conflict when it matters the most, and Abigail's going to move in to make peace, because that's what peacemakers do. But that's uncomfortable. Have you been in that position? That's very uncomfortable. We think all kinds of thoughts, like, first of all, it's not my place. What if they misunderstand me? What if I jump in there and I just cause more problems? Or what if it looks like I'm taking one person's side? What if I get pushed back from everybody? Both sides could end up hating me. Like, maybe I'm not qualified. That's not me. That's not my position. Abigail, of all people, probably felt unqualified to go before a king and a powerful man. But silence in the wrong moment can allow destruction to continue. And we're told, actually, in James 4:17, that if anyone knows good that they ought to do and they don't do it, it's sin for them. Sometimes peacemaking isn't about what you say, but it's about not choosing not to say something. Like, sometimes we know the Spirit moves that, like, we got to do, like, we could stop this, or we can at least help this situation out, but we're in fear of something, of someone, and we don't do it. Abigail doesn't just show up, though. She interjects herself, but she does it wisely. And I think we can learn some things about how Abigail interjects herself. She does it very wisely. First, she brings very generous provisions. Without her husband's knowledge, because he's an idiot, and he's going to stop her if he knows. So she's going to do exactly what David wanted. David needed some stuff from him, and whether her husband owed it to her or not, she says, I don't care. Like, I'm going to be gracious and generous. Because that's what we're called to be as children of God. We're called to be gracious and generous with things. And in this case, Abigail had to load up a bunch of stuff on a donkey, which donkeys actually mean peace. When you're riding on a donkey, it means, hey, I'm just here to talk. I'm here to make a trade with you. I'm here to do something. If you ride up on a horse, it means we're going to fight. And so she loads it on a donkey to say, we're going to come in peace. I have the provisions that you're asking for. I have some stuff for you. I'm going to be very generous with it. And we're called to do the same thing. Not that we have to give all our stuff away, but oftentimes we don't have to be as generous with our possessions as much as we have to be generous with our grace and our forgiveness and our mercy. And sometimes we see the conflict happen and we say, no, I'm not giving them an inch. They don't deserve any of it. I'm going to judge them. I'm going to make sure they know they're wrong. I'm going to dig in like Nabal's doing. When Abigail says, no, I'm going to be as generous as I can with my grace and my mercy. And sometimes we're called to do the same thing. And then she speaks humbly. She speaks very humbly. If you look, she's not involved in the conflict, but she fell at his feet and said, "Pardon your servant, my Lord, and let me speak to you. Hear what your servant has to say." She's like, "Please just listen. Like, I know you don't owe it to me. I know that you could go kill him." And if you read the whole thing, she says, "Thank you for not doing it already." It's not my fault. If I would have known, if I would have heard this, I would have held him off and stopped him. So forgive me. I'm the one to blame because I didn't stop the people from getting the message directly to Nabal. I would have interjected and did what you wanted, but I didn't get there. I wasn't there, so forgive me. But thank you for not destroying us already. Thank you for not doing it yet. She doesn't know if he's going to or not, but she's very humble in this. And then she says, "Please forgive your servant's presumptions." Like, I'm presuming you're not doing it, but the Lord your God will certainly make a lasting dynasty for my Lord, you, because you fight the Lord's battles, and no wrongdoing will be found with you as long as you live. She understands that what she says in this moment matters. She understands that the attitude in which she comes into, her tone of voice matters. She understands something that we sometimes neglect, but it's found in Proverbs 15:1. A gentle answer will turn away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. She didn't match David's anger. David was angry. She didn't side with her husband, who was just kind of foolish. She understood that what she was going to say, how she was going to say it mattered, and her pride had no place here. She doesn't want her people to be slaughtered at the hands of David. That's her goal. She doesn't come in with all these emotions to escalate the situation. She doesn't meet anger with anger. She doesn't meet righteousness with righteousness. She comes in with wisdom to de-escalate the situation. She diffuses it. And some of us, sometimes we try to bring peace, but we get in there and we let our emotions escalate so quick. And the way we say things, and the tone we say things, and the timing we say things are wrong. And those things matter. Those things matter greatly. Peacemakers say, "What can I do to calm the situation down, to refuse it, not inflame it?" Because a whole other side to this is when there's a conflict, sometimes that conflict can benefit us. Like, I agree with this side. If this side wins, then maybe I don't have a conflict in the way. So you could go to that side and be like, "Yeah, you're right. I got your back. You should do that. I'm not going to do it, but you should go and do that." But we could whisper things to inflame the conflict. But peacemakers say, "No, my goal is to diffuse it. What can I say, not to inflame it, but what can I say to calm this down?" She also uses very good theology. She appeals to David and his loyalty to God. If we look at verses 29, she says, "Even though someone's pursuing you," and at this time King Saul was pursuing David, and he's trying to take his life, "the life of my Lord will be bound securely in the bundle of the living by the Lord your God. But the lives of your enemies he'll hurl away as from a pocket of a sling. When the Lord has fulfilled for my Lord every good thing that he promised concerning him and has appointed him rule over Israel, my Lord will not have on his conscience the staggering burden of the needless bloodshed or having avenged himself. And when the Lord your God has brought my Lord success, remember your servant." So it's a lot. It's kind of twisting language, but Abigail understood that David loved God, and David was trying to obey God. And even in the midst of David running from Saul for his own life, even in the midst of Saul trying to hunt him down to kill him, David was still trying to be honorable by God. He was trying not to disgrace Saul and fight Saul. He's trying to figure it out. And in the meantime, he wasn't in this area just ravaging people. Like, he cared for Nabal and his people and his servants. He protected them. He didn't steal from them. He didn't take what was needed. David needed provisions, and that day you just take what you want. You have 600 men. Go take it. But David was God-fearing. He didn't want to live that way. He didn't want to act that way. And Abigail says, "I know you love your God, and I know your God gave you the promise that you'll be king of Israel one day. Is what you're doing now helping that cause? Is it making you a better king in your people's eyes? Or is it going to come back when it's all said and done and God blesses you like he's going to bless you? Are you going to look back and be like, 'Oh, I kind of regret what I did back there. Like, why do I have all this innocent bloodshed on my hands? Why did I have to avenge myself when God promised he would take care of me?'" And she reminds David, what I think we all need a reminder of, is how we live matters. Like, God has a lot of good things for us. He has a lot of blessings for us that he's going to give us. But how we get there matters. And when we do get there, we're going to look back and kind of feel like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Like I did a lot of things in my anger. I did a lot of things for my own benefit because I thought I needed to promote myself when God said all along, He's for me. He's promoting me. It's defending our honor even. It's feeding our pride, like the purpose of our life. And that's why Abigail's asking David, is this the purpose of your life, to make sure that everyone knows you're a strong king? Like, is our pride and our flesh and feeding our pride the purpose of our life? Is that the main goal? Or are we working for a higher goal? Are we trying to become children of God? Are we trying to serve a greater God? Abigail is really intelligent and very wise. And she reminds David of these things, and we have to remind ourselves all the time. Is this conflict, this anger that I have, am I trying to feed that? Is that the purpose? If I feed that, then will I win? Or am I working for God, and does He have a higher purpose? And Abigail was just one person. And that's important to remember. She was standing between an army of angry men and a rich fool. And she's just one person with the courage to step up. And that changed everything. David did stop. He did listen. He did back down. In fact, here's his response. He says to Abigail, "Praise to be the Lord, the God of Israel, who has sent you today to meet me. May you be blessed for your good judgment and for keeping me from bloodshed this day and avenging myself with my own hands. Otherwise, as surely as the Lord, the God of Israel lives, who has kept me from harming you, if you had not come quickly to meet me, not one male belonging in the ball would have been left alive." Then David accepted from her hand what she had brought him and said, "Go home in peace. I have heard your words and granted your request." He says, praise God that He sent you to me. You kind of put me in my place. You kind of brought me wisdom. And he came to his senses, so to speak. Sometimes, even in the most inflamed conflict, one person stepping in can bring us all back down to earth. It can bring us all back to our senses. One peacemaker, one person changed everything. Something for us to think about, especially if we're involved in those deep-seated conflicts, those ones that we think there's no way we're getting past this. Maybe those ones that have dug in for generations. There's this conflict that just goes on, and we think, oh, this situation's gone too far. There's no going back. There's no healing from this. God will often use one person, one obedient person, to shift an entire outcome. So we should pause and we should ask, where is God asking me to step in with wisdom in my life to avoid conflict by stepping into it and making the peace, being courageous, because peacemaking requires courage. And what Abigail did was risky. She approached an angry warrior with an angry army. She lied and disobeyed her husband. She put herself in the middle of danger, in the middle of the wilderness. And she said, no, what? I'm not going to be passive about this because I'm a peacemaker, and peacemaking isn't passive. It takes courage. It takes courage to speak truth when all truth seems to be lost. It takes courage to interrupt conflict when both sides are seething. And it takes courage to risk a misunderstanding, risk being caught in the crossfire when I could just sit on the sidelines, let them hash out of it. But God will put on their heart for one obedient person to come in and make peace. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's not to live without fear. It's choosing obedience in the middle of fear. And as a result, David says, you can go in peace. Your people are going to live. You spared me. All those people weren't massacred. David and his men weren't burdened with the shedding of innocent blood and the guilt that will come from that later on as he steps into being king of Israel. Seemingly everyone wins. But there's one last point I want to make, because it could be tempting during this series as I go, and I thought of it, even when we thought of this series, last week it was brought up, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to just let people walk all over us? Are we supposed to just give everyone everything they want so no one's upset? Isn't God a God of justice? Shouldn't we be telling people this is justice for doing evil? Nabal should feel the wrath of God for what he did to David. Shouldn't there be justice in the world? And what God tells us is, blessed are the peacemakers. But he doesn't say that doesn't mean that his wrath won't be poured out on the world. In fact, in Romans 12:19, he says, don't take revenge. Like, don't do it. You guys are my children. You guys would be the peacemakers of my dear friends. But leave room for God's wrath. For it's written, it's mine to avenge. I will repay it, says the Lord. The heart of being a peacemaker, the heart of this series isn't those people got away with everything. Those people did me wrong and they should be punished. The heart of this series is, do we trust God? Do we trust God to do the work that he should be doing? You know, sometimes we step in and we just want things to go our way, and we think our way is the righteous way. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. We're very poor judges of that, I believe. And sometimes we think, well, I'm going to defend God to the day I die. We should honor God to the day we die. But we can believe it or not, God doesn't need us to defend him. He's God. He says, vengeance is mine to repay. You're my children. You're blessed if you're a peacemaker. You're supposed to honor me and obey me. Work on that. Don't take up this self-righteous vengeance against you. Don't try, and David even says, I can see now. If I would have done it, I would have said, I have avenged myself with my own hand. That ends in destruction for him. When he got to be king of Israel, he's going to have that weighing on him instead of allowing God to avenge him. And God will. And God will decide. God tells us that the peacemakers will be blessed. He gives us instructions, and Jesus talks about how to forgive, how to give mercy, how to give grace, just the same way that we received it from God. God doesn't need us to stick up for him. He's very capable, and he didn't create us and sign us on to be in his kingdom to stick up for him. We're supposed to honor him. But we should trust him, because there's an ending to the story. When Abigail went to Nabal, he was in the house holding a banquet like that of a king. He was in high spirits and very drunk because he's kind of an idiot. So she told him nothing until daybreak. And then in the morning, when Nabal was sober, his wife told him all these things that had happened. He wasn't happy. He didn't take it well. In fact, his heart failed him, and he became like a stone. And about 10 days later, the Lord struck Nabal, and he died. David thought Nabal should die for what he did to me. Instead, David says, no, that's not what I'm supposed to do. Like, my God will be my avenger. And Nabal died. When Abigail told Nabal, hey, I brought peace to this conflict, he didn't come to his senses. It struck him so hard that his heart failed. Like, David's like, okay, you brought peace, thank you. Thank you, Abigail. Go in peace. I will, he'll help me come to my senses. Abigail goes to Nabal, hey, I brought peace to this situation. Look what I did. You gave away my stuff. It was hit him so hard, his heart became like stone. And for 10 days, he sat there paralyzed in anger and heartbreak and distraught over all his stuff being gone. He didn't come to his senses, and it ultimately cost him his life. See, Abigail didn't bring death or life to anyone. She just brought peace and said, just reminded you, like, we serve God. Like, you have a chance to choose peace. And David says, thank you for the reminder. I need that. I'm a child of God. I love God. I do want peace. Nabal says, no, that's not what I wanted at all. I'd rather die. And that's what happens. Abigail didn't kill him. David didn't kill him. His own greed and his own self-righteousness and his own anger killed him. So this is a story of Abigail who's married to a greedy, foolish man who has to appeal to a man that God loves, who's gracious and forgiving. If we zoom out just a little bit, this could be a story to remind us of what Israel was like in the Old Testament. Israel in the Old Testament was a nation stuck between the world that worship Baal and all these other idols. And when you worship them, it's like you're married. The Bible tells us like you marry them. And so they had a husband with a heart of stone and greedy and selfish and flesh craving. But then God comes in the picture and says, if you choose me, I'll give you blessings in abundance. And so Israel had to leave their husband of the heart of stone and marry God. Because David was so pleased with Nabal dying, said, Abigail, you're smart, you're beautiful, you're wise, come be my wife. And she accepted. Now, he had other wives, we'll talk about that another day. That's kind of goofy. But if we zoom out, we can see Israel was married to the world. And God came in and said, choose me, leave that man of stone heart and that flesh and that wickedness and come and choose a God of peace. And that's the story of the Old Testament of Israel constantly marrying back the idols that they shouldn't be, and God separating them. And then one man, a judge or a prophet or a king, would come and say, "We have to repent and come to your senses and come back to God of peace." And the whole nation would come and be back in God's graces. And there'd be one peacemaker in the mix that says, "God's wrath is going to be poured out upon us for what we're doing unless you repent and come to your senses." And that's the story of the Old Testament of Israel choosing between which husband are we going to follow. And if we zoom out even further, we might say that we are that same person. We have to choose constantly. My heart was stone one time. My flesh desired the greedy selfishness of the old man inside of me. I was marrying my flesh and the world. And then one man came and said, "We have a gracious God that you should choose." And one man came and says, "God, put all your wrath on me, a wrath that I deserve, the wrath that you deserve." He says, "Let me step in the middle there and make peace here so that you can marry back to God. You can be reunited with God." And one man in Jesus came to be our peacemaker, our ultimate peacemaker. And we have to constantly choose, are we going to follow our flesh? Are we going to turn our hearts back to stone and follow the world? Or are we going to join Jesus and come to our senses? Because he stepped in the middle of it and said, there's a better way. There's peace for you if you just follow God. And then he says, oh, by the way, I'm going to build a church and I'm going to make that church my bride. And you get to be my wife. You don't have to be the wife of the world anymore. And that's what we get to be as Jesus' bride. We get to be in this world, and we get to be peacemakers because Jesus gave us a chance to come to our senses and say, yeah, I just need to be peace. I need to be a peacemaker. I need to follow the peacemaker in Jesus, and I need to be reunited with God. And thank you for sparing me from his wrath and total destruction of our life. Abigail stood in the gap. She stopped the destruction from happening. And Jesus did the same thing for us. He stepped between us and judgment. He absorbed what we deserved. And he made peace between us and God. And then he calls us to do the same thing. So as the band comes up, we're just going to remind ourselves that peacemakers don't sit on the sidelines. We don't avoid conflict. We don't just let people run all over us, but we step into the tension. We step in with courage and we step in with wisdom. And we try and say to the whole world, destruction's coming, but there's a better way. There's a way of peace if you follow God. We don't avoid it, we step into it because we're blessed as peacemakers, as children of God. Let's pray. God, we thank you for this story and this reminder that it just takes one person. It just takes one of us to change the story of many. A whole family could have been wiped out. A whole group of herdsmen, a whole bunch of people could have been wiped out because of foolishness, because of stubbornness, because of greed, on the other side, because of anger and pride. This conflict seemed unavoidable, and it's something we face every single day. Maybe not life or death in the physical sense, but spiritually speaking, we see conflict in which it tears us apart. And we have to choose, are we going to whisper in the ears of the people in conflict and egg them on and bring words of encouragement to continue to be at odds with each other? Or are we going to step in there with wisdom and courage to say, there's a better way? We can humbly put our pride aside and we can turn to a God who loves us and desires the best for us. God, we ask you that you make us peacemakers. You sent your Son here in the flesh to reunite us with you. He absorbed the punishment. Not only did he bring provisions, he brought mercy, he brought grace, he brought forgiveness, and he gave it to us abundantly and generously. And he says, all you have to do is receive it. Just please let me take the wrath for you. And he humbly came and served us as God. God, help us accept that forgiveness and be reunited with you. And let our hearts of stone be softened and turn to you and be in turn be peacemakers for others. Help us step into the situations of our life that are turmoil and conflict And we think maybe we're too far gone, but God, put in us a heart of forgiveness and mercy and grace, and let us transfer that to others so that they can see that you're a God of mercy and love. We thank you and we love you. Amen.